You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host, Nesbitt. Today, we have an interview from the archives. This is Night Demon, The Lost Interview. So in 2016, Chris Kells did an interview with Jarvis for a Japanese magazine called Heavy Metal Forces. The interview was never released until now, and it gives a good snapshot into where Night Demon was at the time. Here's Chris.
Hey, Chris Kells here from Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been a Night Demon fan for a bunch of years now. Actually, when I start to think about how long it's been, it's amazing how quickly the time seems to have gone. Because when Jarvis mentioned this interview, we were chatting at Hell's Heroes this year, and I dug up the audio file. I was a little bit startled to see that it was from 6 years ago. I'd first seen Night Demon in Chicago at Ragnarok or Metal Apocalypse in 2014, and that was pretty much all it took to get me on board the Night Demon train, as it were. And if you're listening to the podcast, you probably already know that their approach to touring can best be described as relentless. So I actually got to see them a bunch of times in the following years, and one of those tour stops in April 2016 just happened to be in Raleigh. So I offered up the guest room in the basement in case the guys needed a place to crash, and that's how I ended up with Night Demon and Visigoth in the house for a few days. And that also happened to coincide with the moments in time when I was collecting content for a Japanese zine called Heavy Metal Forces that I sometimes write for. It's organized by my friend Shusato and some other good dudes in Japan, and it's an indie print sort of thing, so it's published in Japanese only, and it's got a relatively inconsistent, release schedule, if you will. So to give you a sense of that, the first issue is published in 2000, and the one with Night Demon in it, and also an interview with Satan later that same year, that was issue 10, and that was in 2017, and that remains the most recent issue, or the most current, or I guess the last one published. So anyway, the morning after the Raleigh show, I sat down with Jarvis, and we talked about his history and where Night Demon was at the moment and their plans and just all kinds of other topics as they arose. At this point, it just kind of feels historical, like it's a snapshot of the band as where they were at that moment in time. Armand had already joined, and they were still touring Curse of the Damned, and that was catching on, it felt like, and they had yet to unleash darkness upon us all. I think it was Frost and Fire that fall that they previewed Stranger in the Room as the first taste of the Darkness Remains stuff. So this is very much a look at where things were headed, as it felt like the band was beginning to pick up some steam.
So let's start there then. So, okay. I mean, it's 2 weeks into this run, and this is Armand's first time with you guys, right?
Yeah.
So how's it all? Is it in the groove now?
No, almost. Yeah. I mean, there's still some things, there's some things that you develop naturally over time, on stage mainly. The cool thing about Armand is he's been with us from the beginning, we actually, when Brent and I started the band, we asked him to be the drummer, but he wasn't into it. So, he recorded the first EP that we did. He engineered it and he mixed it, and he helped Brent a lot with the solos on that record. He produced what was supposed to be Curse of the Damned. We recorded that. Curse of the Damned was recorded twice. So the first time we did it, it took a few months to do it. Okay. And it's like that. So those ended up being the demos, ultimately. But really, the demos, which will come out later on an expanded edition, I'm sure. The production is like much bigger than it is on the record. I mean, there's a lot of tracks on there. There's keyboards. There's like multiple guitar tracks. We played to a click track. It's like a very big album, but it was too big for us, and it lacked the vibe of the band. So it took. But it was fully finished. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's done. It's out there. I mean, well, it's not out there, but we have that.
It's in a box somewhere.
Oh yeah. So. So. Having him on board has been good. Like I said, he's been there. He's been there every step of the way. So he basically produced that record too, even though he didn't. What you hear is not there. I mean, he was involved for months with what we thought was going to be the album. But when the finished product just didn't really have the vibe of Night Demon. Just three guys, So what we did was because we only had the 4 original songs. We were touring Europe. We were doing all this stuff before this other record came out. We had to play a lot of those songs live before the record came out. Yeah. So we got more familiar with the songs at that point, and we went back and recorded the album in 3 days live. So
that's awesome.
You go 3 months.
That's
you
badass.
go 3 months then to 3 days. We were kind of like, you know what? We gave it. I remember we were at a meeting in Germany with our label, and I remembered like trying to. Talking to the guys ahead of time, going, okay, how are we gonna tell these guys that we want to re-record this album and that's gonna push it back 5 or 6 months, And so we told them, and I remember our A&R guy, he put his head in his hands, and he said, thank God. He says, I've been trying to find a way to tell you guys that I think you need to do this again. Nice. And I was like, oh, great.
Sweet.
Yeah, so we did it.
Burden removed.
Exactly. So we did it in 3 days when we got home. I sent him the master, and I remember just getting an email back saying, like, now this is rock and roll. This is what I'm talking about, So, but it's cool, like, being familiar with Curse of the Damned. I think the fans are really going to enjoy these demos when they come out, And we have a lot of material. We have, like, jam space demos of all the songs as well. We have, like, stuff that I've done in my bedroom. We have stuff with the drummer before Dustin, some of the songs. We have with the first drummer, there's 3 songs that we have a whole different session with that Armand recorded. I mean, so there's a lot of these songs from Curse of the Damned have been kicking around for a long time.
So are they different arrangements?
Oh yeah,
like
different arrangements,
keyboards and stuff, but different.
Yeah, oh yeah, different arrangements, totally different recording sessions, different alternate lyrics. Nice. So we have, eventually, we want to kind of put out like a box set kind of thing of Curse of the Damned one of these days. And it's going to have, we could probably put like, 30, 40 tracks on it.
I'm in.
So it's very
awesome.
Cool though, man.
Yeah.
It's very cool because if you can hear all the different players that have been, we haven't had that many players in the band, but you can hear the evolution of the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always, are there some that you wish you had kept like they were? Or you can
yes,
tell them all
yes,
right now? You're like,
yes.
I like this. But
yes, no. There's some things that we do live now in certain songs that were on the original versions. Like the end of Living Dangerous, we go into that choppy part. Mm-hmm. It's very slow on the record, and like we listen back to the old demo and we're oh man, that's so fast and it's so awesome. So we do that live now.
That's cool. Yeah. Adjustments as you go, right?
You're never gonna, not never, but it's hard to make the perfect album in your own eyes. You know what I'm saying? Because you're always your own worst critic. And like the thing about, Armand records great and he produces a lot of bands, but on this newest record, he didn't want to be at the controls at all, because once you're doing that, it's like you're splitting your focus. He just wanted to be the guitar player.
Yeah, I don't want to think about
exactly,
knobs.
and then you're never gonna finish it because you're always gonna be like, oh, I can tweak this and do that. So it is.
I can dig that.
Yeah.
So is the new one? So you had all the old 40 tracks. That's all material. That's all this set of songs, right?
Yeah.
Did you start from scratch for the next album? You like you didn't be like, we got 10 songs left over.
No. We had
all fresh.
See, that's the thing. Night Demon has never had any leftover songs. We've never written a song.
B-sides.
Never. And the thing is, the labels, like in our contracts, they want all these bonus tracks and stuff now. And so we wrote it in our contract that we'll never give them any original material for bonus tracks unless they want a demo or a live version. We don't write throwaway songs.
Yeah.
If we feel like we're starting to write something mundane or mediocre, we don't even finish it. We're just like, nah, that's a bad riff. Let's move on. And kind of forget about it, which is cool. 'Cause, I don't like. A lot of like the last Priest record, like it's got with the bonus tracks, you got like total like 17 original songs, and a lot of people thought that some of the bonus tracks were better than the album cuts.
Yeah.
And then what's the difference? It's like you get the album with the bonus tracks, and it's kind of like the same record. Like when you write a record, you sequence it from beginning to end, and it takes you through this whole journey, and then to kind of that's why I don't like the bonus track, is because like, so you're listening to the album, right? And you get through your 10 songs, and you're like, wow, that was cool. And then there's just there's randomness at the end, and you're like, yeah. So we'll see what happens with this next record, but we're trying to renegotiate where we can do. I don't want to do any bonus tracks on the LPs or CDs, and what we want to do is keep putting out like 7-inch singles throughout the life of the record. Like when we have a single and a video, and then the B side of that will be something else, you know. But we always do covers, and like we have 4 covers now that are actually recorded and in our catalog. It's part of our catalog, kind of like Metallica always did that, and I thought,
just own them.
Yeah, and I thought it's great. We play like songs that a lot of people don't even know are covers. I mean, unless you're a true diehard metal fan, which a lot of our fans are, but a lot of them aren't, you know? And it's cool because it's exposing them to bands like Riot and Diamond Head and Jaguar and, stuff like that. So, but we did record a cover song for the next album that is actually part of the album because it's kind of themed with it. Okay. So, we did a Black Sabbath's Turn Up the Night. Yeah. So, and it fits really good in the album,
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's my theory on that, and then hopefully a few albums from now there'll be enough of that material where we can just put out a covers album based on. I would love to do. I hate to always make the Metallica comparison, but I would love to do what they did, which is you put out a double album, and one album is like a bunch of new cover songs, and then the next one is the second disc is a compilation of
all the stuff you might have missed.
Totally. I'm all about that.
That's why it's hard. I appreciate the collectability of some things like 7 inches and things like that, but I think like with the mixtape, it's like also includes digital code for you people who just can't get away from having this be the place you get your tunes, man. So
I love it though, man. I love all the different mediums, all the different ways to get music. I mean, I'm cool with it, and I love that tapes are back and records and vinyls back, and CDs even have a nostalgic resurgence now. It's crazy, and in Europe, it's still CDs are huge, and CDs still sell well for us here, and I still like CDs. I love CDs, man. I love
something
CDs.
To hold.
Yeah, and just the quality of it, and just being able to scan through stuff. I mean, CDs are so cool. So I like. Any way you can get it, I mean, we're down. We'll put it out on any format that there is. Any way the listener wants to check it out is good.
I think it's cool. I just, the mixtape. Where did that even come from? It's just it's a weird compilation of like really cool bands. But it's like it came out. It's like it's an NDO2, right? It's like Night Demon 02. Is it like your sub label or you?
Right. We started our own label when we got the rights back to the first EP.
Okay.
Because we wanted to start releasing it the package that we wanted it, with the mastering we wanted to, and just manufacture it and distribute it ourselves. Okay. Because the reality is, the record labels, they take a lot of money. We don't make money off selling records, not because they're not selling, it's because the cost to us is so high. So for us to manufacture and distribute and sell them ourselves, it's a better business move for us. Plus we can control how it's presented, So we started our own label just to release our own back catalog. And that's the sole intention. Then it's kind of the same reason why I manage bands like Visigoth, because it's like you see these bands that are just marooned on this island wherever they are that are so great, and they just don't know what's going on, and they need to be exposed. They need an opportunity, and I do stuff like that because I feel like I have to, not because I have time or want to, but I have to. It's just I feel like I have. Somebody's got to do it, But so the mixtape, fans would give us mixtapes on the road. Because we only rock cassettes in the van, so we have a huge cassette collection, and people bring us cassettes to shows. But a lot of people started bringing us these mixtapes and like stuff from the '80s, And so before the internet was around, I used to make mixtapes back in the day, and I used to trade through guys that I met at record stores and trade overseas with people, and I'd have them, bring in like copies of Sounds magazine and stuff like that for me. Like they would always import this stuff for me at my local stores. And so we started getting these old mixtapes on the road, and I I'm not ashamed to admit, but like we still find out about old bands that we should know about. We're like, how have we never heard of this band? But so like these mixtapes were great, and they were like put together like it's like art, and we got the idea. We're like, we need to do this, we need to put out a compilation first of all that is a time capsule to what's happening today. We need to stamp heavy metal today, because there is a movement. It is happening. And what better way to do it with a mixtape, you know, just like in the same fashion that the old ones were, you know. So we have actually on the cassette, in between the songs, I mean, the whole thing, we actually dubbed it, we took all these tracks that we got from these bands and from these labels and put them onto a cassette and then onto another cassette, and then that goes to make the master cassette. So we actually made it like how cassettes are made, like on a dual deck.
High-speed dubbing.
Oh, totally. Totally. We were plugging in VCRs and stuff because we were doing like movie samples. There's all this stuff in between the tapes that you can't get on the download, okay?
Oh, sweet.
So listening to the tape is the real beauty of it. So there's all kinds of stuff in between, and it's just cool, you know, and I think it was, you know, we took it upon ourselves to really, to kind of just champion the scene, you know, like if there is no scene, you just got to create it, you know. Yeah. And so all these bands, I mean, there is a scene and it's worldwide, it's just small and it's spread out, you know. So that's like us doing the mixtape, doing the festival, stuff like that. I mean, we're really just trying to make it better and bigger and expose it, you know. We're all about crossing over to other fans, you know. We're not metal snobs, you know, like us doing this tour with Carcass. I mean, we really want to expose that audience to what we're doing, you know, because we've played with bands like that, those extreme bands, and you get like older guys that like more extreme stuff these days, that they see us and they're like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I cut my teeth on this stuff, I can relate to this. And then you got these newer kids that are like, what is this? This is like a whole new thing. Their first favorite bands were already screaming at them, you know? So they're like, okay, this is heavy, it's kind of fast, but it's like melodic. Like, what is this?
I understand what he's saying.
Exactly, right. So it's good, you know? And so we're all about that. We want to bring... And that's just like us being on a major label like Sony. I mean, like, that's just what we are, you know? So it's like, we're okay with exposing we're not changing what we do for the mainstream.
No.
But we need to educate people on what's going on. And these other great bands that are doing this, and give them a chance. And, you know, I'm not going to take credit for this, but I noticed since we've been doing what we've been doing on the road, a lot more of our peers are doing it. Like, a lot more people are like, hey, these guys can do it. Why can't we do it? And they can. And they do. And so it's good. There's a market for it now, and it's coming around, and it just keeps coming, and it's great. You know, I think it's wonderful. I mean, even a place like Raleigh, it's not a hub for traditional heavy metal, but you get enough of it now where it's like, you know, you'll get bands that come through and do it on every level.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. So we're here to inspire, you know. I mean, we definitely compete on stage and on tours, and we do go out to win for sure. And on this tour, we definitely pride ourselves on being like a true headliner. But it's all friendly competition, you know. We're really here to support everything, you know. When the tide rises, all boats float higher, you know. You can't be the only guy there, you know. You have to facilitate things for other people too, you know. And like, it's strength in numbers, basically. You know, you can't have one band. You have to have a lot of great bands.
You want to make a good package too. I mean, if you buy tickets yourself to a show, you're like, I want to see the third band, but the rest of them are just awful.
Right.
You know, that's not helping anybody. So this is a good lineup. I mean,
yeah. I mean, we really kind of try to focus on that, and it's hard too, because when you get to do the things that we're starting to do and have been doing, you know, there's always going to be lovers and haters, you know, and you don't want to come across as like you have this hierarchy or this power or this kind of this you know, what you say is cool, you know. But in a way, when you are doing stuff like that, you do have some kind of influence on the public, and you want to be represented correctly, and you do want to take out bands that you think are worthy of that. The thing with metal is it's got the greatest fans in the world, the most diehard fans.
That's true.
But, you know, I'll be honest, in my opinion, like 88% of the bands are not good, in my opinion. Like 88%. I think I can calculate it down to that. Like,
this is
there's
science.
so many of them, and there's so many of them that just don't get it. Not that they won't, they just don't. You know? So to be able to travel the world and find the great ones and bring them out of their small hub and expose them on a global level is something that we're really proud of, and we really like. That's our main focus.
Is that how Frost and Fire came about? Like, all right, I mean, that's a huge commitment to like Just logistically, I can't imagine that it's just like, oh my
well, you know,
gosh,
I've promoted a lot of shows, man. I mean, back in the day, I was doing a lot of stuff. Right when I was out of high school, you know, I dropped out of high school to tour. And it was one of those things that I thought, oh, I'm going to regret this, man. I'm going to regret this. But I've never really looked back from it. I left high school when I was 17, and I started touring with bands. And then I started promoting shows before I was 18. And when I was 18, I brought Slayer to Ventura, King Diamond. I think Merciful Fate also that year I brought on the 9 tour. And you know, I was doing stuff like this. You know, I was doing King Diamond, I was doing Merciful Fate, and you know, I would have like 3 pay-to-play bands, and still 200 people would be at these shows. You know, I would put King up in a crappy motel, and you know, he would be there all day working on the props and like be really hands-on. You know, and I learned a lot from guys like that. You know, and how the scene had changed. Like there was no metal scene. You know, I did a death show on the Perseverance tour, and it was Hammerfall's first U.S. tour. And they were support, and I thought they were great. And, you know, again, 200 people at the show maximum. You know, I was doing it in like a 1,500-seat venue.
Yeah.
Those were dark times for metal, but you look at how, you know, how these guys all stuck to it, and they rode the highs and lows, you know. And now they're on a high again. I think King Diamond is probably more popular than he ever has in his entire career.
He's come back.
Yeah, I mean, and it's amazing. I mean, I know he's playing bigger venues than he ever really has in the States. I mean, you know, that kind of gave me a big education young on how the business works and stuff like that, and what it's like to be on the road and like really dedicate yourself to this kind of lifestyle. You know? Yeah. There's no rock star pension or anything like that, you know. But you know, it's not a glamorous lifestyle, but it's very rewarding. You know. And then we meet people like yourself, you know, who like, I mean, this is just amazing. I mean, just like we see support, you know, and it's good, man.
It's like I mean, you guys are doing it old school, right? You're in a van driving around the country, but it feels like it's almost like developing relationships, right? It's like, all right, we're making. This is a stop. That's a stop. I know a dude here. I know a band here. That turns into something else. All of a sudden, we're on the Raven Bill. I mean, it feels like it's. I don't know if it's who you know is the way it works anymore. But
you know,
it feels like
it's always who you know. It's always who you know.
So strong.
Yeah, it's always who you know. However, there's 2 things you always got to consider. Okay, one is nobody was born knowing people. Okay, you have to network. You have to meet people, you know. And the second thing is, a great band will always rise to the top. A great band will always be discovered, especially with the tools that we have now. There's no way that happens. Like, great bands will always be known. Yeah. That's just it, you know. And great bands will do what they have to do to get there, you know. So that's it. I think a lot of people have a lot of excuses, you know. And we're about to do a tour with Anvil, and you know, we've had public battles with those guys, you know, in public over social media, because those guys are a bunch of complainers, you know. And like, I'm not afraid to say that. I mean, they just are, and I think that, you know, they blame a lot of their problems on, you know, the industry and all this stuff, and it's just like, you know, you really have to look within. You know, and if, you know, I mean, those guys, they've persevered, you know, I mean, they've done a lot of stuff. They never gave up, really, but, I mean, I thought I know if they were a great band, then they would be recognized as one. I mean, that's just how it is. Yeah. So, I mean, you really just, I think just in life in general, the key is responsibility. You have to take responsibility for everything, you know. I mean, our booking agent dropped the ball on a lot of things on this tour, you know, and then, you know, I manage the support band, and then Metal Blade wants to know what's going on. It's like, I can't go to them and say, oh, our booking agent, this and that. It's like, you know, I have to be like, hey, you know, I'm working on it. Here's, I'm my apologies. Don't worry, I will take care, I will make sure everything is handled. You know, you have to be responsible for everything that you do, no matter. You know, I mean, ultimately, you know, I hired somebody, so it's my responsibility, right? Yeah. I mean, it's always, but that's the thing. You know, a lot of people in the industry, it's always, you know, dog ate my homework, and it's like, well, you know, get a new dog. You know, it's not, you know,
redo the homework.
I just hate that stuff. You know, I don't like it. You know, And I've had the same struggle with band members in the past, I mean, it's all about personal responsibility. Once you can do that, you can't lose, Then you start finding solutions, Like I like to provide results, not excuses. I hate excuses. They're just, excuses don't exist, I mean, there's acts of God and stuff, and there's stuff that happens, but it's like, if you really want something, you can get it, and it's all about your attitude, because things happen. See, here's the thing, a lot of people, a lot of fans are like, oh man, they're always like, you guys are doing so great, and all these great things are happening to you and for you, but what a lot of people don't understand is like, there's been like 3 things in our career that have actually happened to us or for us, like that we've been asked to do. Most everything we push for and make happen, and we never talk about. The cool thing is, in the band, there's something to post on social media every day, because that's how much great stuff we're doing. However, we never post about the bad stuff. We never post about the car accidents, the breakdowns on the side of the road, the canceled gigs. We don't need to be negative like that. Like, we don't need to air that stuff out publicly. And I think a lot of people do that, and they complain about it, blah, 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 A lot of people are doing Kickstarters and crowdfunding and stuff. Yeah. Like, I'm a fan of that stuff for independent ventures. I'm all about it. If you're doing something on your own, and that's how you have to fund it, and the fans want to get involved, by all means, I support that. But if you're on a record label that's paying you to make a record and distributing it in a commercial way, and you're doing all this other stuff, I just think it's kind of like a lame thing to do. I think it's kind of a cash grab, and it's like I understand that it is hard out there. I mean, I know more than anybody, because I live like out of a backpack. But that's the good life, because that makes you realize how much material things just do not matter. I go home and I'm like, what is all this stuff, man? The things you start to own you, and it's just, I think it's good for everybody to kind of experience something like that, But we, as far as like what I was saying about the financial end of it. Yeah, it's tough, man. Yeah. But we go out and we pride ourselves on putting on the best performance that we can. We want to entertain people. We have great merchandise, and if that's our Kickstarter, we're gonna go work for it. It's like we pride ourselves on the presentation speaks for itself, and that will carry us on to survival.
Yeah, I told Andrew, I said, you guys have got like the most extensive t-shirt. I mean, it's just, you've got a lot of stuff. It's not like, well, here's our album, buy it or don't, and here's 2 shirts and a patch. It's like, I mean, it's really broad. And he's like, yeah, we didn't even bring it all.
Yeah, no, we didn't. We're trying to hold some stuff back, honestly. But I mean, that's my thing. If you can't make it on your own and you need that much help, you kind of need to rethink what you're doing, because I learned that there was more millionaires made in America during the Great Depression, more than any other time in history, like per volume, because there was like, when everybody else was freaking out, other people were like figuring out, okay, what do people need?
I see the opportunity here.
I'm in it for survival, and I'm going to make it. So here's what I have to do. And that's the thing. Everybody has great ideas. You just have to act on them. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't. And a lot of musicians are lazy. I get that. And there's a lot of really artistic people out there that function on a different level. Their art's great, but they need handlers. They need somebody they need some focus on some other end. I get that. And I'm trying to be the guy who's in the middle. I'm trying to have both of those things. And at the end of the day, when it gets hard, handling a lot of business, because I just want to sing, and I just want to rock. I just want to rock, But it's getting better. It's getting to that level, and we're able to hire people to help us, and have somebody like Andrew who's on the team. Yeah. He's really like another member of the band, and that's what you want. You want to have a strong team around you, because success is you're only as good as your guys are. It's like a sports team. You know what I'm saying?
You can, individual.
Like Michael, you can have Michael Jordan, but I mean, that guy had an amazing supporting cast, at UNC and in Chicago. I mean, really, really. There was a lot of lean years where he was scoring 60, 70 points a game and losing, So you're only as good as your guys are.
That's a good point.
It is. And everybody has to have their role,
So
Carcass, Summer. You're clearly going to Europe.
Yeah.
Anvil. I mean, so when did you write an album? I mean, when does it happen? Does it happen like it starts when you're like,
It's hard, man. It's hard. You think you can ride on the road, but it's just you can't. You know?
You actually had some time off in between.
We did have some time off after the Mexico tour. We had some time off, and we were spending every day in our studio, and we treat it like a day job. We clock in the morning, and just,
essentially it's not time off. Then it's like it's off the road, but you're still
we never take time off. It's anything we're interested in doing. I think when we started the band, we had a 7-year plan. So we're in year 4 now, and we're way ahead of where we wanted to be. So now we're making a lot of different adjustments. So I think in 2020 we're gonna take we're probably gonna take a year off and just off.
Nice.
And see what's going on. We have another after this record. We'll have 2 more albums on our contract. So we'll probably do. I think the plan. I mean, I can't speak for it now, but looking ahead, we have the EP, and we didn't like re-record all those songs and throw them on a record like most bands would. That kind of stands on its own as its own release.
Yeah.
But after full length number 4, I don't know if we would be. I don't know when the next time we would do another full length album is. Just looking at the history and the patterns of bands that I love, like those first records are usually where it's at, I feel bad for these bands that have to go out. They make a new record every 2 years or so, and they can play 1 or 2 songs maximum live off it, and then on the next album cycle, that album is just history. Like you never hear anything, And with the way the industry's going, I don't know. I mean, metal fans are always album fans, but I would like to see the band move in a different direction at that point in our career, where I would like to focus on just putting out a single, like a vinyl single of like a great song. Focus all of our energy and like, here's the song or couple songs that we're writing now, like this year, and we're going to tour off of, and then play the hits, I mean, that would make sense to me instead of an album full of filler, like let's really put, when you could put your focus into one song. I mean, a lot of bands do that. Like if there's some great songs that have been on like movie soundtracks and stuff like that, really songs that are really focused at the moment. You kind of put it all in. I think that's a good approach, and I think that's kind of where the music industry is going as far as, I think the album is dying. It's not a dying art, but I just think it's more on its way out,
The descending art.
Yeah, I just think like for consumers, I think it's out. I don't think it's out for the idea of people making them. I think for the consumer, it's on its way out. I think
because you can buy one. You can buy track 4 off of iTunes,
right? Or you can not buy anything and just listen to your favorite song. People listen to stuff on YouTube. They want to hear a song.
Yeah.
So I mean that's not definite, but that's kind of the way that I see it going, and I don't want to be a band with 21 studio albums. I just don't. I mean I don't think I have that in me with one project. To just it's tough. I mean we've evolved a lot with Armand, even though Brent and I wrote. And Dustin wrote this last album. We wrote the songs for it. And Armand came in and just made it better, So it's definitely, it's an evolution of Night Demon, but it still has, you can't change too much overnight, You can't. No, that's like some inventions, some things that people like invent that they're like they don't catch on until like a decade later. They're like, oh, we can use that now.
It's too much of a shift.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
Yeah, so. You can't. You have to gradually do it. So.
But do you like record a riff and then think of lyrics later, or is there like because Blood Sacrifice? This is more of a I don't know if it's you wouldn't call it a concept album, right? But it's got a storyline. I don't know what you'd call it, but
it's more of a soundtrack to that story. There are some songs like Screams in the Night is directly written for that first issue, like directly. But generally the lyrics come after the music because I'm more of a music guy too. But lately, like on this new record, I wrote a couple songs where the lyrics came first. It's interesting to write around it like that. It's very cool. It's if you can do it, it's cool. And I've always wanted to do a concept record, but unless you're gonna make Mindcrime, I mean, it's hard to make, man. It's hard. Most bands that try and do that, they get like 75% of the way, and then there's a couple songs that kind of stray off the path. Yeah. It's just tough to do, So yeah. So maybe in the future, singles and EPs and stuff like that, I'd love to do something like that,
And let it go.
Yeah, but it's like it's cool to write individual songs. It's hard to write. I mean, just to even write a story, and then make it interesting with music.
Make it intelligible,
exactly,
so you can track what's going on.
Yeah, that's really hard because, especially like in music, like certain, not a lot of lyrics will make. Like when you read them without the content, without listening to it, you might not make a lot of sense. Certain vowel sounds sound good in a certain way, and they sound more musical. Mm-hmm. So you have to change words here and there. You can't really be that literal. Like then he went and did this, and then imagine then the sword pierced his heart, and then he fell to the ground, and I mean, you have to break that up in a poetic way.
It just represents a couple of panels on the comic.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So you get the point of what I'm saying. Exactly. Right? I don't have to spell it out for you guys. You're a clever audience.
Exactly.
So that's kind of a cool tie-in, though. I mean, were you already in the process of doing the album, and then
a little bit, yeah, because
came into it, or was it
yes, because we had a few songs. Before that ended up on the album. Like we had a few of the songs on the album were very early creations of the band, but not lyrically yet. So we kind of themed it based on the story. And we have, I mean, this is just issue 1 is out. We have the entire 100-page script of what the story was, and we really got down. And with the author, I mean, we influenced a lot of what he did. He made a lot of changes based on what we were doing. I mean, the whole story had changed. So yeah, it was cool.
Almost like collaborating.
It's a total collaboration, and we totally worked together on it. So that's what was a cool thing
about
really
it. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know it was simultaneous production.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
for sure,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about the patches last night. You had to search for metal cares. That's a thing you kind of is there like an event that like turned that thing on? Because a lot of metal bands, I mean, people do stuff, but it's a very visible way to do something.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm
yeah.
going to make merch for it, and I'm going to do these things.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a time when we saw a lot of bands, like, I don't want to say ripping off their audience, but like really capitalizing on some dumb things like paid meet and greets and stuff like that. I like how the bigger bands do it. Like if you're a member of the fan club, you have access to possibly making that happen with purchase of your ticket or something. It's not an additional thing, but now you got all these people are doing it like it's an additional thing, and I'm like, man, I mean, can't you just put on a better show and start drawing more people? Like, there's other ways to make money that, I don't know. It's not all about money. But a lot of people are money driven. I understand. And money's important. You need money. And when you have value to what you do, you can charge for it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong at all. But we wanted to just do the complete opposite at that point and just be like, hey, you know what? Like, there's so many people that are way worse off than us, and bands that are way worse off than us, even though we're continually broke. It's crazy. Like, we'll start tours and be in the hole so bad, but know what our net worth is, that we're like, okay, we know what this is going to do, and we know what's already guaranteed, and we know what's potentially going to happen on the back end. Yeah. So we always roll the dice, and we're fine, And then what we do is, instead of us going out and buying nice things, we put the money back into the band and get more production and get bigger and grow the thing, instead of just going out with the same old show every time.
Yeah.
So anyway, with the Metal Cares thing, we wanted to do something charitable. So there was an organization called Merch Relief. There was a big natural disaster in the Philippines, and so they were looking for clothing and stuff. So we thought, well, instead of trying to push our merch all the time and stuff like that, let's give them some merch. So we started giving them Night Demon merchandise. Yeah. So poor people in other countries are also promoting the band,
Rocking
and we're helping them.
That's cool.
So that's a better cross promotion than just trying to get money for nothing. But we. And another thing, we put a high value on our merchandise. A lot of bands always run discounts on the merch stores and stuff like that. Like, we've never done that. I don't think we ever will. Like, our merch is always worth something, and it's fan-friendly pricing. Like, we don't overcharge for it.
You don't have to discount it when it's reasonable.
We don't. Yeah, we don't. And there's certain items that haven't sold in that have been there in the store for 2 years, but but haven't sold out, but they eventually do, you know, and it does have a value. So for us to donate that kind of that stuff that has value for us to other people that have nothing really kind of had an impact on us personally. So at that point, we had decided to put a brand on it, which was Metal Cares, which is what we do, you know. So and it's something that we would like to grow and push forward to other bands and other organizations to become a part of. So in the last few years, we've done a campaign for the YMCA because they sponsor a lot of underprivileged people in the community. Like they do.
I just don't want to make y'all late.
No, we're good.
You said what's your time?
We're
Right.
good. We're good.
You got to roll.
But they give a lot of scholarships to people that don't, to use the facilities there. They do a lot of things. It's not just a gym. You know, there's child care. There's all kinds of stuff involved with it. So it's a good organization for us, you know, and they do stuff for us too. I mean, you know, Dustin got a scholarship. When he moved out to California to play music, you know, he was living in a car for a year and a half. So he had nowhere to shower or anything, you know, and he gave it all up for rock and roll. He had a really good job in Philadelphia, and he just went for it, you know. And so we're giving a lot back to that organization too. But we do an exclusive T-shirt every year, and we run a campaign for a month. And it's crazy. The one drawback we have from it as a band is every year it's like our best merchandise. It's the stuff we put out, and we make it exclusive just for that. And we always look at it and go, man, I wish that design was just in regular circulation. It would be a huge hit, you know? So, but we're working with some other organizations too. We're doing like an animal rights thing next year, and we're trying to expand it, you know. We're definitely trying to expand it, but there's nothing better than doing something for somebody else. You know, it makes you feel good, and it's like at the end of the day, it's kind of cool. You know, and the other thing too is when you're doing stuff like that, other people really get behind it. Man, they'll come out of nowhere and donate, or they'll help you out with it. You know, and it's just a good thing. And again, you know, like I'm not gonna lie, it is good cross promotion for the band, but we're using our popularity as a band to do something good for somebody else. If you're just a guy on the street asking for that, it's a lot more difficult.
It's a tougher sell.
It is. So I'm stoked on it. You know, it's something that we will always carry on. Even I think that will carry on longer than the band does. You know, to be honest,
you set it up and let it grow. Right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely. But it's funny sometimes how the public. You know, people will rally behind stuff like that, but it's funny how many people don't. It's like they just like, whoa, like they're even afraid. You know, when I see stuff like that, you know, on social media, I'll give it a like, I'll give it a share, all this stuff, and most likely I'll donate. But if I can't, I won't. But I'll still promote it. I'll still do it in that way. Yeah. And it's funny, you'll be like, all right, we're playing with, you know, we're doing this show with Saxon, and everybody's like, you know, oh, hell yeah, awesome. And then like, hey guys, we have the most amazing merchandise. We're trying to help people that have nothing. You'll get a few people like, right on, you know, like, okay, I'm on board. You know, it's like, don't be afraid of that, people. Don't be afraid. You're not obligated to do anything, but spread that message to other people. That's all you need to do. You know, that's payment in itself. That's advertising for somebody that will. You know, there's so many people out there that there's all this GoFundMe stuff right now. I have 3 friends at home right now that have been in like terrible accidents that are trying to raise money for medical bills and stuff. Bands are doing benefit shows. Like, there's a lot of people out there that need stuff, and now there's ways that they can get it, and communities that will support them. So you can't donate to everything, you know.
That's the hard part about it.
You can't, but there's nothing wrong with spreading the word about that, you know.
But
so
you put it out there.
Yeah,
I mean that's
yeah.
So a platform.
Yeah,
so
absolutely, absolutely.
As opposed to just saying.
But our diehard fans, they really do support that every year, so that's cool. And I think they just like the band, you know. I mean, they want to have the band stuff, you know, and. But it's cool, you know, the organizations that we work with, I mean, it's official, you know. They send out letters and stuff, and they, like, it's a legitimate thing, you know. So that's where we're at with that. # Metal Cares.
There it is. Cool. All right, so I know you guys do have to roll.
That's all right.
It's been like a long time.
That's okay.
So
I can talk for days. Sorry.
I was gonna say I could talk to you all day. We missed the show because
we play at midnight. It's
yeah, but you got loaded.
Yeah,
right? You got so, but and you're like a couple hours away. But I'll just ask the last thing, which is like, so you got the summer is booked, and then what happens after that? Is it now it's lyric album time, and you got to put that together?
So we have to put some finishing touches on the record in August when we come home. We want to add some color and some candy here and there, you know, and make sure it's good. We're also it's not mixed. I think Jay Rustin, who did the last Anthrax record, and Armand Saint, he's going to do it. So we have to get with him and make sure that's good. Master the record. The artwork is being done at the moment. Okay. So we have to. We'll hand in the materials by the end of September. So for a January 2017 release. We're going to do Frost and Fire, our festival, early October. We're going to take the rest of October off. And then November, we're going to South America for 3 weeks. And then we're doing Mexico tour with Skullfist.
Nice.
Then December, we'll be home, get ready to gear up for the whole new touring cycle. January, we'll do a support tour with Bullet in Europe. Okay. And then in February, we're doing the 70,000 Tons of Metal cruise. And awesome. I think it's going to Nassau this year, so that's cool. Steve Harris lives on that island, so hopefully I'll try and stalk him.
You and the whole crew, right?
Then after that, we'll most likely do a support tour in the States for the record for probably about a month, like in this early spring, late winter, early spring of next year. Then we'll be going to Europe to do Keep It True, Up the Hammers, and Muscle Rock, so like a 6-week European tour. We'll come back in the summer, and then we'll be doing, I think we'll probably do an East Coast run, a headlining run, or the eastern half of the States in June for the new record. And then we do festivals in Europe July and August, and then we'll do Frost and Fire again 2017, and then the western half of the States. We're probably going to bring Black Trip over from Sweden to support. So that's the next year. And then 2018, we'll see. So
just talk your way through an entire calendar year.
You have to think forward. You know, you have to think about stuff like that. And you know, opportunities come up, you know. They definitely do, and then you have to make judgment calls. The only thing we've ever canceled was we had to cancel Headbangers Open Air this summer, but we promised them we'd make it up to them next year because we had to take this Carcass tour. We're already going to be in Europe for 5 weeks, and we didn't have a lot of shows surrounding that. And the money was good, but it wasn't enough to warrant, you know, being out there for so long, you know. So, and I think the Carcass tour is a great opportunity for us here in the States, and it really makes our footprint a lot bigger here, you know, because as you know, I mean, we work the States a lot, because we're from here. It's our country, but we would love to play in front of the more mainstream or extreme audience as well, and just show them what we do, you know, and I think I'm confident it will translate.
That's a good deal.
Especially live, you know. Especially live.
I mean, I'll come to Richmond because they're not coming here, but Richmond is the closest one. Right. So I mean, it's you do seem it's a different, as you say, a completely different crowd.
Absolutely,
but. In olden days, it felt like, you know, you could have a band like that that's out of place that would just get booed off the stage.
Right.
But I was like, I think it's like,
I think it's way
this
more
is going to work
now.
fine.
It's way
This is
more
going to be cool. People, if they don't like it, they'll go get a beer. If they're curious about it, they'll be like, I'm going to go check this out.
You know, we're playing at 7:30 every night. So, like, the 300 diehard fans will be up at the front anyway, and they'll just have to sit through it. So, you know. But we got a good set list for it.
You guys convinced, though. It's not like, I mean.
Oh, yeah. We're taking no prisoners. Trust me, man. I mean, I'm totally confident in what we do, and there's no way you can't hate. You're not going to hate it. You know?
No, you may not be on board, but I mean, so you're going to modify this tour set list and scrunch it down and just. It's a much more in your face kind of deal, but it's good. You know, it's good. It means you won't play Save Me Now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but hey, at least you know we're doing it on this tour, and we will keep that in the set. But so. It was fun playing that last night. I saw some people like, "Oh, whoa, they're playing this song."
Yeah, because it comes up early in the set because you got the album in reverse. And
you know,
it's like,
the album's great.
Cool.
The sequence is great when you listen to the record, but live it climaxes more when you go backwards.
It does.
You know? So,
it does. It's a nice ending when you're listening to that one. But like at the end when one screams, like, oh, that's right, it screams the nice part. That's like almost encore time.
Yeah,
so.
totally.
All right, any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. The rule of the game, the rule of life, again, is I think responsibility and 100% commitment to anything it is that you do. If you love sweeping the streets, like, just be the best at that, you know? There's a lot of naysayers in the music industry right now. Everybody's running away from it. You know, they're scared, they're complaining, they're boo-hoo, this and that, the world is over, people are stealing music. You know, you can't look at it that way. If you're involved in it, just be the best at it and figure out new and creative ways to do things, you know? This is the Wild West, man. You know, these are important times, you know, and we're here to win. You know, people are going to talk about this years from now. They're going to talk about these times and the people that hung in there, and the people that made it great, you know, and it's going to be important. You know, the legacy is more important. What you leave on the earth is much more important. You know, I've never seen a U-Haul or a hearse pulling a U-Haul. You know what I'm saying? Ever, you know?
Yeah, all
like,
that stuff.
you know, Thomas Jefferson died bankrupt. You know, it's like you have to be, it's all about the legacy that you leave behind. You got to live for today, and you have to make today great, because there might not be tomorrow. I know that's cliche, but it's very true. You know, and you have to take care of the people that you surround yourself with. You have to treat everybody with respect and love, and you really just gotta go for it. If you have a passion in life, just go. Take a, you know, just jump. You know, you gotta just jump without a net. You have to. It's the only way to do it. I had a job that I hated for years. I managed this company, and I had so much responsibility, and I was so depressed though. You know, I never thought touring for me was a recreational thing, and I never thought that I would. You know, I was like, I just got sucked into it. You know, I don't have any skills. I should have went to college. I should have done this and that. You know, but I realized just the entrepreneurial spirit in me, and just, you know, the passion that I have for what I do, you know, it's just second to none. And I'm constantly striving to be the best at what I do. And when you're the best at what you do, you know, even in a recession, you're not getting fired. If you're the best at what you do, you don't lose your job. I mean, that's just how it is. Yeah. It just doesn't happen. You have, again, it comes with responsibility. You always have to look within. You always have to say, there's a reason why things happen to you in your life. And usually it's because of something you did or didn't do to create that. So you have to just put your head down and go for it, and stay involved in it and stay present with it, and then you lift your head up years later. And I mean, Night Demon's a younger band, like we're a newer band, but still in the last 3-4 years I look at it and I'm like, holy shit, like this is insane, this is crazy, like just to be, you know, and have your heroes. You know, I'm in my mid-30s, okay? You know, I've been playing music for over 20 years. There's, you know, a lot of people got to 30 in my group of friends, and they gave up and they switched over.
Didn't happen. Do something else.
Yeah, and it's like that just was not an option for me, and I'm glad it wasn't, because now I'm prepared and I'm ready for this, you know. Like, and when I was doing it in my 20s, I mean, I still make mistakes, but now I can learn from them, you know, and not complain about them. You know, now I can learn from them.
Don't complain, don't repeat.
Yeah, exactly. Now, and so that's my closing there, my closing thoughts and my feelings to anybody that listens. It's all about what you want to do with your life. You know, you have the power to do it, and there's plenty of opportunity. There's room for everybody. You know, people think, oh, that's been done, or you know, like it's not a good idea because I'm thinking of it. You know, it's like that's not true, man. That's not true. Most people think of things that are way outside of their industry and become successful at it. It's all about executing it and just not giving up on it. There's roadblocks. There's always going to be struggle. There's going to be crisis that happens probably once every 3 months in your life, but it's all about how you deal with it. Like, it's all part of the game. That is so how it's meant to be. You know, whatever higher power there is, it's like it's part of the story. Like anything that's going to come super easy to you is not going to be worth it anyway. You know, it's just like there's no you can't really take a lot of pride in stuff that's just constantly given to you. Yeah. You know, so that's it.
That's awesome. That's a perfect conclusion, dude.
Thank you.
So pretty cool interview, some interesting stuff in there. Even back in 2016, they were talking about releasing 7-inch singles with covers as the B-sides. And I found it pretty funny. Back in 2016, in this interview, Jarvis says that in 2020, they might take a year off. So little did they know that they would be forced to take a year off. I thought that was funny. Anyway, next week we have our 100th episode of the podcast. So I'm putting together something pretty cool. I'm going to do a retrospective of all my favorite clips and moments for 100 episodes of Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. It's pretty crazy how fast that 100 episodes went. Anyway, until next time, this is Nesbitt signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
Visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host the Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at metalforgeradio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time, all the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.